Okay, today we're doing lesson 3.7 day 1, solving equations. In the previous lesson, you learned and talked about area models, and so today we are going to be using area models to also solve equations. But before we get there, we are going to do some review. So we are going to have these triads, and we're going to do the area model on these three problems. So for the first one, this is a 2 by 2 box. There are two things in here and two things in here. So when I draw my box, it's going to be a 2 by 2, so like a square. One will go on top, one will go on the side. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Whichever one I see come first, that's usually the one that I put on the side. Make sure that you put the plus or minus with the second number, and then we'll put the other one on the top. Then I multiply each box to get the inside. So x times x gives me x squared. 7 times x gives me 7x. X times 3 gives me 3x. And 7 times 3 gives me 21. At this point, you want to identify your like terms. And then once you do, you're going to add them. So these are my like terms. And I'm going to add them. There's a big plus sign in the middle. So I'm adding those two things together. So in the end, my answer is x squared. I'll write it down here. 7x plus 3x is positive 10x. And then plus 21. So this is my answer at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with B. So this is a 2 by 2 box. And so I'm going to draw my box or my square. I like to put the first one on the side, but it really doesn't matter where they go. So x, keep the minus in front of the 2. Then I have 2x minus 6. 2x times x is 2x squared. Negative 6x times x is negative 6x. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. And negative 6 times negative 2 is positive 12. So I like to identify my like terms, so these two. And I'm adding them, right? So I like to put a plus sign in the middle. So my answer at the end is 2x squared. When I combine these, I get negative 10x and then plus 12. And I'm going to box that. All right, and then for letter C can be really tricky. You see the 2 on the outside, the exponent, you're not going to distribute that. You're not going to like multiply that with the inside. This is really telling you that you have 2 of these. So I have x minus 5 2 times. So just be very careful when you see something like this, you have it twice. So I like to rewrite it 2 times because now I can do the box and multiply those two things together. So I know it's a 2 by 2 box because this is 2 by 2. Since they're both the same thing, it doesn't matter which one goes where. So I'll put x minus 5 here and the other one up here. Remember, keep the plus or minus attached to the second number so that you know if it's positive or negative. All right, x times x, x squared. Negative 5 times x, negative 5x. X times negative 5, negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. I like to combine my like terms. I'm going to add them. So my final answer at the end is x squared. Negative 5x plus negative 5x is negative 10x. And then plus 25. That's my answer at the end. Okay, so those three problems should have been reviewed from the previous lesson, so 3.6. The next three problems are going to be the new stuff. And so let's get into it. So we're going to solve each problem by rewriting the equation. We need to rewrite either both sides or just one side. So for letter A, we're going to rewrite the left side because you see how I have these things that I'm multiplying? I'm going to do the box. So this is a 2 by 2 box. On the right, there's nothing for me to do. I'm not distributing. I can't combine any like terms. So the right side will stay the same. I just have to fix the left side. So I'm going to do the box over here. So I have the 4x plus 1. Remember, keep the plus in front of the second number. And then I have the x minus 2. So 4x times x is 4x squared. Negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x. X times 1 is 1x. And then negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Just like we did up above, I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to add them. I'm always adding. This is the left side, so I'm going to write my answer on the left side. So I have 4x squared. When I combine those, I have negative 8x plus 1x is negative 7x. Then I have the minus 2. Bring down my equal sign, and the right side, I didn't do anything with it, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Okay, so then this is my equation. Sorry, let me kind of separate this because it's kind of all together. So this is the work for the left side, and this over here is the same thing from up above. Okay, once we distribute and once we do the box, whatever term you have as squared should cancel. So you see how I have 4x squared on both sides? I can subtract it from both sides. That way, this cancels with this. Then whatever I have left over, I'm going to bring down. So I have this negative 7x, this minus 2 equals, and then I have this positive 19. Now I have a two-step equation, and we know how to solve these. So I like to draw my line through the equal sign. I'm going to do the opposite, so plus 2. I get negative 7x equals 19 plus 2 is 21. Divide by negative 7. So then x equals negative 3. So at the end, after we do the box and we distribute and combine our like terms, we get an equation that we are used to seeing, something that we're familiar with, and that we should get an answer like this. So we'll do 2 more examples. All right, let's try B. Okay, so on the left, I have this x plus 3 squared. Remember earlier up above, when I have something like this, it's telling me that I have the same thing 2 times, so I like to rewrite it. So then for this, I'm going to do the box. And then I'll do the box, I'll do it right here. So then I have x plus 3, and then I have x plus 3. And I'm going to multiply, so x times x is x squared, 3 times x is 3x, x times 3, same thing, 3x, and 3 times 3 we get 9. Then I combine my like terms, and I'm adding them. Okay, and this is solely for the left side, right? So this side over here. So I have x squared plus 3x plus 3x, I get 6x plus 9 equals, okay, on this side, it looks like I have to distribute and then maybe possibly combine some like terms. I'm not sure. So this x squared is not being combined with anything, so I'm just going to rewrite it, copy it. Then I have this negative 3. So that negative 3, I am going to distribute to everything inside its parentheses. Okay, so then I have negative 3. And then I have negative 3 times negative x, which is positive 3x. So for this one was a little bit more complicated because I had to do the box, but then I also had to distribute. Okay, but keep in mind, whatever you have squared should cancel. So you see how I have the x squared on both sides? That's great. It's going to cancel on both sides. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides so that it cancels. Whatever I have left over, I'll bring down. So I have 6x plus 9, my equal sign, and I have negative 3 plus 3x. Okay, now I can solve for x. I like to draw my line through the middle. I like to combine my x's, but to be honest, just pick something to move to the other side. So this 3x, since it's positive, the opposite of it is negative, and I have to do it on this side as well. So then this becomes positive 3x plus 9 equals -3, right? I'm just bringing that -3 down. Now this is a two-step equation. It looks just like this one over here. So the opposite of +9 is -9. Bring down my 3x and my equal sign. -3 minus 9, I get -12. And then I'm going to divide by 3. So then my answer at the end, I get -4. Okay, perfect. And we have one more, the tried at the bottom. We'll just do it together, which is fine. Okay, perfect. So if I look at the left side, there's nothing on the left side that I can combine, so I'm going to leave that side alone. But you see how on the right side I could probably do a box, right? This is a 2x2 box. I'll do my box over here because I have a lot of space. My first thing is x minus 1. Remember, the minus goes in front of the second number. And then I have 5x plus 6. Okay, I'm going to multiply to get inside of the box. So 5x times x is 5x squared. 6 times x is 6x. 5x times -1 is -5x. And 6 times -1 is -6. All right, I am going to combine my like terms. Right, I'm adding them. There's a big plus sign in the middle. The left side will stay the same. There's nothing that I did to it. And the right side is this once I combine my like terms. So I have 5x squared, 6x plus -5x, you get positive 1x. Or you could just write x, either or. And then I have minus 6. You see how I have 5x squared on both sides? That's perfect. That means that they're going to cancel each other out. So I'm going to subtract it. Okay, these go away. I'm left with 43 equals. Remember, if you have a 1 in front of the x, you could just write x. So I'm going to drop the 1 and write x. And then I have minus 6. Now here I have a one-step equation since x is by itself. So I can draw my line. The opposite of -6 is positive 6. These cancel. And so then I'm left with 43 plus 6, which is 49. Bring down my equal sign and bring down my x. And this is my final answer. So 49 equals x. So just make sure when you're doing these problems, if you see your parentheses like this with multiple things inside, you draw your box. You do that on the side, and then you combine your like terms, and then you can solve for your x.